Would you like to reach our film and TV review podcast audience? Do you have a product or service of interest to film and TV home consumers or followers of the entertainment industry? Have a film or show production to publicize? For affordable price plans for all budgets, get in touch and find out about our introductory advertising options. Reach our audience of film and TV viewers and visit our site contact page at filmandtvreview.com, or you can email us at business@filmandtvreview.com. Reach out today. Welcome to filmandtvreview.com. Catch the latest film, TV and streamed show reviews every week. The views and opinions expressed by the authors and those providing comments are theirs alone. They do not reflect the views, opinions or position of filmandtvreview.com or their respective parent companies or affiliates. Filmandtvreview.com makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information in this program and is for entertainment purposes only. Episodes may contain adult humor and language. For full terms and conditions, see filmandtvreview.com.
Hello there, and welcome to another edition of Film and TV. And this one's a special, and we thought we'd kick this one off with the over the long-running franchise of Fast and Furious, and the latest one is Fast 10 or Fast X. Now it's been basically a huge franchise outside of the superhero genre, and just keeps going and going. So we thought we would just have a light-hearted look at the ups and downs and the masterpieces that just keep coming out year after year with this franchise. Of course, it's Vin Diesel and the crew. But again, it's another, I think this was promised to be the last one, but it actually is going to be a trilogy. But lots of, we'll talk about Fast X first, and then we'll talk about, obviously, the franchise. But over the years...
Can I say the director apparently does say Fast 10, and it's meant to be a pun on fasten your seatbelt. So, but I'm going to call it Fast X, I think.
It gets more clever the more you think about it. The more you think about it. No, I'll just throw it up as a question now, and then we can just go around the room, and we'll start with a nice review, and I kind of like, because it's tying on a lot of the franchise here. There's a lot of cameos, there's a lot of resurrections, let's say, but let's just start with,
and are we going? So we're going full spoilers, right?
Full spoilers. It's full gear. Full gears into spoilers.
Okay.
There you have your warning. So who'd love this movie, and for what it is? First of all, I'll start just one question: what genre is Fast X? Because it's shifted from its early beginnings, but this one, if you just look at it fresh, you just walk into this without watching any of the others, which is quite possible. You can do that. What would you describe it to those who've just come into the Fast 10?
So if I may,
yes, of course.
I was saying with you guys that I thought that this franchise was supposed to be, I'm going to use that same analogy that I was talking about with you guys. It was supposed to be the Point Break of cars, kind of.
True.
Of car thieves or car stealers, what you want to call them. And I think that was the original plan. But nowadays, this franchise has become something of a mystery to me, because I don't know how to define the genre, to be honest. It's, it is there's still some crime in it, but at the same time, it's not a thriller because I'm not on the edge of my seat when I'm watching it, to be honest. And it can be a cold drama because every time there's a dramatic scene, I'm laughing. So I don't know. And it's a comedy, but it's a bad comedy because it's not written by people who think it's a comedy. They think it's a drama. So it's a kind of a paradox. So I don't know. I don't know how to define it. So yeah.
I was trying to, well, I did write a review, which is on the site, and it took me quite a long time just because I was thinking, what is the magic mix in this? Which I kind of started late. I wasn't really into cars, but I went into that whole kind of culture. But then I started with 5 and 6, and a lot of filming around London, actual London, back in those days. So it was very engaging. I knew it started as more kind of the subculture, and this is back in 2001 or whatever it was, of car racing. This, when I joined it, it was more the heist kind of film, and there was some resemblance of physics there going on, but just maybe 10% more. But you kind of gave an excuse, as was the fashion. But watching this, it was I'm going to say it's comedy, action, and I would say science fiction, totally science fiction. I was wondering what year is this set in? Because there's a lot of technology going around, obviously. But
I can answer the first question you asked about like what genre it is, because I started on Fast 9 and we had already gotten to most of these points, and I think I mostly just thought that it was like an action franchise, like the same way I would describe Mission Impossible, because there are more action scenes than most action films. Like, I don't consider James Bond an action movie. I consider it a romance movie. I don't consider it, I know. Maybe I've just only watched the wrong James Bonds, but I don't find it super interesting. But I wouldn't consider that an action movie if you only have a couple action scenes, versus this has nonstop. So I considered it like an action, like an action comedy, but like a franchise in its main. Like, it has more similarities to other franchises than any other genre, I would say. So
I think these days genres, you don't usually have one genre in a box office juggernaut. Like, they always try to mix them to have something for everybody. And I would say action for sure, adventure, because this seems like quite adventures. Sometimes they are globetrotting in different parts, like in the jungle. In the setups are very like adventurous. Many people that playing different parts at the same time, going on different adventures and trying to get different to achieve different objectives throughout the world. And then maybe thriller as in general, but not like and touches of comedy, something like that.
I think, definitely in the wake of where you only have a few franchises going, and it's definitely, I would say, almost the only game in town outside the superhero genre which's got its own little universes. But here, it covers all the bases of all the other action or summer movies that aren't there anymore, which is like, your spy, your comedy, your sci-fi, your comedy, romance. But so just as you say, as these long-running universal franchises, which has become, it's outside of its initial one or two genre into a multi-genre franchise, which works for it really well, because that's the state of cinema now. I did have fun on it though. That's the thing. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. And the crowd that I think on the Friday opening, it did get crowded eventually.
Yes.
Well, we started. There was a fire alarm. We had to evacuate. But then we came back in. I think it was projectionist trying to mostly say, "No, go outside." But then there were seats just 5 next to me, which I saw was already booked up, and I thought, there's usually just gonna be guys there, probably 5 guys just coming out with nothing. Like, it was just 5 girls actually came to sit here, and they were just absolutely enjoying themselves, and it was like,
okay. Enjoy in what sense?
I think I can sense why
I wasn't being sarcastic, by the way. I'm being serious. I always say that one of the best screening I ever went to in the last couple of years was Moonfall. And Moonfall, it was a great experience. Everybody was cheering up, but because it was laughably bad. So I don't know if people, and I know that this franchise is very popular for some mysterious reasons. People actually really enjoy these things, So it's possible, but actually there were actually a lot of people in this movie theater that enjoyed that movie in the proper sense of the term.
Well, I think I did when I kind of glanced around and said, what point are they going to really whoop up in their chair? I was curious myself, honestly, Richard. So I looked, and it was on the beach scene where all the hundreds of girls, there was a standoff between Dante and Dom on the beach. And then there was a big music scene, just a big soundtrack. Well, the soundtrack is quite infectious, but they were kind of, when that came on, they were hands in it and they were going like this, just waving the hat. So it's like a crowd participation. This is what this genre is in there is I think it's like a unsigned or contract where you have to participate in how ridiculous it is now, and you give them license to just go wherever you want to, which they have. Honestly,
I don't know what they are taking to be that kind of following the movie in that sense, but I want the same thing that they are having.
Well, I was curious, and but to 5 girls just to go out and just on a nice Sunday, it was a relatively nice Friday evening. Just instead of going to a club, they actually came to watch this, and they were dressed quite nice. And okay, and it looked like they were members of family, and maybe it's the theme of family which never relents, which brings people together. What did you think of the film anyway? I didn't really actually ask that question of this film, just going cold into it, because a lot of you did go to the cinema, I think, and did watch this. A bit of my request is also, but what did you enjoy it? What was your frame of mind going in and coming out of it, honestly?
Do you want me to talk? I want me to talk. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So I promised I would try to be positive. So I would say that compared to the other Fast and Furious movies, it's actually all right. But that doesn't mean much, to be honest. But yeah, because I kind of agree with what you were saying. Sometimes it was enjoyable, properly enjoyable. There were actually scenes that I actually enjoyed. I'm not joking. For example, surprisingly, I think John Cena scenes were actually pretty good. Actually, I was surprised to see that John Cena is actually a very likable actor and character in that movie. The movie was too long sometimes, yes. But I wanted to see. I wanted to see where it was going with Dante's plan. I didn't understand it, most of it, but I wanted to see where he was going with it. But yeah, my main issue, well, again, is the fact that it takes itself too seriously. But for me, the drama doesn't work. Never. And there are too many characters in this thing. So at some points, I couldn't care less about what was going on, because they would say, oh, another cameo, or this guy is appearing for 5 minutes, and this guy is here. And to be honest, all these references, etc., I was thinking, okay, yeah, I think it was dragging a lot, this movie. It tried to have some funny dialogues, but especially I call them the comic relief duo, Tyrese and the other guy, and they are terrible. They are just terrible. I mean, that's the problem, is that
they are.
I'm going to try to sum up the idea. Is that in a past podcast we did with you, Jason, we talked about The Mandalorian, and The Mandalorian, I defined it by a show that it was not meant for me for the first couple of seasons, but I understood why it's so popular, and I understand, and I can see its qualities. Fast and Furious, for me, it's the opposite almost. Is that it's very popular. The box office results are always great. I'm pretty sure that this one, although it has one of the biggest budgets in the history of cinema, which I don't understand, by the way, almost $400 million, I'm pretty sure it will break even. I'm pretty sure that one way or another, because I'm terrible at predictions, I'm pretty sure it will reach $1 billion. But still, even if it's not for me, in that case, I don't understand where people see any value in this movie. Because overall, except the few things I said, I don't think there is anything extraordinary about the direction of this movie. I don't think there is not many of the actors in this movie do a great acting, to be honest, and they have a great cast. By the way, I don't know how much money they gave to Hélène Mirren or Charles Theron, for example. And the script is just funny, but all for the wrong reasons. So it's as I said, for me it's a mystery. I come back to this movie is a mystery to me. It's it's an enigma in the cinema industry in this franchise. Yeah. So that's me being positive, by the way.
No, that's good. I'm very proud of you, Richard.
I have to ask though.
God, Noel, yeah.
Like Richard, do you go into this thinking it's a fun action movie that I can just turn my brain off to, or do you think of it as like I'm going to compare it to like an award-winning like 12 years?
No, I've been asked that question when I go, and to be honest, no, I understand what I am signing up for. I understand actually it's a blockbuster, etc. And there are blockbusters that I really enjoy. It's almost a curiosity, but anything else. It is. I'm curious to try to understand it. And for example, there were some of these movies in this franchise that I kind of liked in a way. But it's just curious to understand actually how it is so popular, because it's almost an analysis that I'm doing when I watch these movies. Try to see something that I in the subtext or something that I'm missing, but I still don't get it. So I don't mean sarcastic when I say it's a mystery to me.
No. So again, like I only got into these movies like a year ago, right? With the ninth one or however long the ninth one came along. What I liked about it was the nonstop action. Again, I know it's weird to compare this to other franchises. Star Wars, Marvel, James Bond, any other franchise except Mission Impossible does not have this many fight scenes. So it keeps people engaged. They like that. The music is good. Vin Diesel and other actors, when you have different kinds of actors with different kinds of fan bases, the movie Hairspray did the same thing. It's a totally different movie. But Hairspray, it was a musical movie that worked so well because it had a bunch of different actors and brought those fan bases with them and therefore made a lot of money. There's a lot of people who like Vin Diesel because he's multiracial and a lot of people see themselves in him. There are a lot of people from like the hood, so to speak, in California. Like I'm from California. And well, I'm not from the hood, but a lot of people like it for the California scenery, or they're from like a bad area, and so they relate to these characters. And then you combine that with the action, and then there's this weird quote people say about Vin Diesel that a lot of women like him because he's hot and he has a deep voice, but that's why men like him too, because men think he's so cool and they want to be him. So they go see these movies with a bunch of attractive buff people who they want to be like, and then you combine that with action and the heart. I think you can tell that the actors like making these movies. And then you also have the fact that there's all these different kinds of things going on. I think it works really well, but I do understand what you said about like Tyrese and everything. I feel like there's some characters that are just kind of being dragged along because they can't get other work and this is a paycheck for them. And I don't think those characters are as interesting as like Charlize Theron. Or even, I like Nathalie Manuel, but they never seem to do anything with her because she's basically like a plot device, She can hack into anything. Even though she's a hacker, like the first thing we see her do after being rescued in Fast and Furious 7 was seeing her like in a bikini, which is so funny because she's like the most famous hacker in the world. And then we're like bikini picture. But that embodies this franchise. It has all this hardcore action. It has attractive people, but it's also doing more than most franchises do in the way of the action itself. It commits itself to that. And I think it's like the opposite of most franchises where its most loyal fan base aren't going to be vocal online in the same way that Star Wars or Marvel fans are.
That's a very good point, actually. I never realized that. It's actually true. Yeah, it's actually they reach easily every time $1 billion, but you don't see 1,000 YouTubers actually talking about these movies online to us. That's a good point.
I mean, same with like Adam Sandler to a degree. I feel like this is the Adam Sandler of comedy. You're getting maybe not the best, but you're getting entertainment for what you ask for. You bring the same people along. You know what you're going to get. And it makes a lot of money, even though no reviewers are talking about it, unless it's to make fun of it. Though I do think these are better than Adam Sandler movies objectively, even though I watch both of them. I am more ashamed to say I watched Adam Sandler than I am to watch this. But yeah, again, I feel like the shortcomings of most franchises, this isn't doing. You can watch all the other movies. You don't have to. When you step into a Marvel theater, you'll have to have all that knowledge. When you watch, like a Star Wars, it's not going to be lightsaber battles 24/7. So you're going to have to realize, oh, I want action, but I'm not going to get that all the time. And then you have the Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel's like one of the most famous celebrities on Facebook of all things. He has one of the most liked pages of like any celebrity. So he has this Vin Diesel tough guy fan base of people. So, and I think that's what kind of keeps it all together. And again, this was, I was telling Jason, like, there was a point where this was the only thing that was making Universal Studios money. This is what was keeping an entire film company afloat. So, I mean, it can't be doing too bad, especially if they can pay all these A-list actors to come be in their movie and everything like that. So, I mean, does Marvel get Helen Mirren? No, but DC does, but we hate
That's
a point.
That's true.
I think Richard is not in the Venn diagram of people who might like. I mean, it's not the demographic, I would say.
Yeah,
I know, definitely. I'm not definitely not the one actually that this movie is targeted to. If that's for sure. And your point about representation is a very valid one. To be honest, it's true actually that there is great representation in these movies. To be honest, and people actually must enjoy those movies for that reason as well. Yeah.
Yeah, these movies have more diversity than like anything else I've seen, and they've been like that from the start. And I know people watch it for that reason, to see themselves represented in a cop on steroids, you know.
And also, I mean, they just do it. They don't. It's in cinema, you've always had diversity, but you just don't kind of telegraph it, which other seems to have latter films do now. It's like, and they give them more. It's a demographic rather than a character. But here it's. I say character in the loosest sense here, but it's kind of like, she does this, but it's never kind of like, it is just mixed by de facto, but it's not like we're going to put this character because they're from this demographic. It just happened. It's just, and I mean, you're too busy trying to unwind the plot rather than to concentrate on who's in there. But like you said, everyone goes to see it, but no one talks about that or admit online that they have seen it.
But I take what you were saying about that as a positive for the movie actually. But it doesn't need social media to be successful. No. It's actually a strength.
No, there wasn't much of the noise going around. You thinking? I mean, you have a few of the interviews, but you never see this big trailer release or like the Marvel machine.
No one hit 100K views on the interviews, even with like Charlize Theron and everyone, which is good.
Well,
but also this recognizes its flaws, which I like. Like they knew they had too many characters. That's why 4 people were in one little, B plot kind of thing, because they'd have too many people, not enough space for them. And continue.
Yes, go on, James. Sorry.
Well, they used to have the trailers. I think I only saw one for this movie, and they didn't ruin the ending of it, because the thing that everyone used to say about Fast and Furious was they used to put the entire end stunt in the trailer. So you think, oh wow, that film looks really good, and then go, oh, they completely ruined the end of the movie. So that was something that they did, but I think they got so much backlash over that they haven't done that for the last couple of films. But maybe there is a trailer out there that gives away the end of this, although it's slightly different as well, because this ends in I know I'm jumping right to the end of the movie, but this is the start of a sort of the final trilogy, but it sort of ends on a cliffhanger. So it sort of does the Empire Strikes Back thing rather than the Star Wars thing of doing, so I think we're just going to get that at the end of the next one as well, that we're going to think everyone's dead. And I agree with what Richard said in the chat, because I was actually shocked when John Cena died in the film, which I think he probably has. I think John Cena might be the only one who actually died. But no, I did go, oh my god, when the plane crashed. But Richard's absolutely right. Even though there wasn't time for this to have happened, in the next film you will see them all put their parachutes on, have a lengthy conversation.
Redcon all the time.
They will have that lengthy conversation where Tyrese says, hey, Ludacris, you're stupid. And Ludacris says, actually, you're stupid. And then he looks so angry that someone's...
Those are the worst parts of the movie. I hate that Oh my God, I hate
Yeah.
those.
And then they'll jump out of the plane and go, "That's actually what happened at the end," and we'll go, "But there was not time for that because we saw it."
Yeah.
Yeah, I did read a quite interesting little interview snippet with the director who came in to replace Justin Lee because he left, and then so Louis
Leterrier. He's French.
Yeah,
My God, he's
wait,
French.
merci. If I got French, that's
My
why we have
God.
Richard here. The who'd actually cut his teeth more on Transporter 2, one of the better entries, I guess. Again, a relative scale with Jason Statham, but it was a talk with John Cena, and of course, if you've seen 9, he begins as the foe and the brother with a grudge against Dom and his family. A bit more of a menacing flat character. Here he's more of a kind of very light, the happy uncle and very likable. And he's got good comedy chops anyway. John Cena. There was a discussion, it was quite late actually, why he is like that. And because it was when Louis did come on as director, he did mention, I think, would you mind? I think, and it was his change saying that you die in this, and I think this because I think there's got to be a price about what's happening in the story. And then Johnny thought about it, says, "Yeah, okay, I agree. Let me then lighten up because I think it was written a bit more like encompassing with, or like his previous film where he's been more a dour figure, but here he's much more lighter and likable." And he said,
I would say
so he raised it. He kind of changed the tone. So when the loss does come, because he dies saving Dom and his kid, it hits more. So, and I'm hoping that he stays there because
Yes, I hope
there's a
so.
lot of resurrections going on here.
Oh, you can't die. You can't die in this franchise. I mean,
No.
the thing at the end,
it's called the Easter
the thing at the end
franchise
is
now.
sort of ridiculous.
Which is why I think it's set in the future where gravity obviously has diminished somehow.
I mean,
but yeah,
I did quite enjoy the film, and I'm probably going to do the opposite now. I'm just going to rant about things that have come into my mind. But it's fun. It is a fun film, and I think it's an action film. It started as an undercover cop film, the first one. Then it sort of becomes a niche thing about street racing, and then 5, which is probably the pinnacle, really, is like it becomes a heist movie. I think 5, 6, 7 are a really good run in the middle of it, and obviously this film starts with a flashback to 5. Everything that we're experiencing in this film is as a sort of retconning and putting a new character in who was always there, but we give him more backstory of this character.
2 of them, and I saw it coming a mile away. I would told Jason every time, I'm like, I think this is going to happen, and then it happens. Oh my God. We should have bet money on this.
I was texting like, oh yeah, I think you should say, oh, I bet they will come up. And as a joke, just to be the most ridiculous joke ever, I would say, oh yeah, and who will come back? And I said, and as a joke in quotes, Gal Gadot will come back because I pretty much
knew it.
I remember she got incinerated on that big.
But didn't Han get incinerated as well?
Mm-hmm.
Han was.
This is in Tokyo
attention.
Drift, and then in a later one, they retcon that we think they've just died, but they sort of go, oh, it's Jason Statham did it deliberately. Yeah. And actually, one of the things that is difficult with this franchise, the ridiculous resurrections are, you can do 1 or 2, but once it's like everybody, it just gets ridiculous. But the other thing that I find really difficult is like when Charlize Theron turned up, I was like, oh, she's a villain, she's on the doorstep. And I completely forgotten, you get the flashbacks. It's like she killed like the mother of Dom's child. And she's at his house. Like Jason Statham's meant to be one of the sort of heroes of the franchise, but he thought he'd killed Gal Gadot and Han at some point, and they sort of have that line in this where he shoots someone and goes, now we're even. It's like, well, we're never going to remember that moment. I still remember him blowing up Han in Tokyo Drift or whatever.
I remember, well, I think it was the 5th or 6th one, because that was the last one I went to a cinema to see, and then this is the subsequent one. The rest I've seen online, but this it was a sheer gasp when it was towards the end of the film, and then Han is in Tokyo, and then he gets crashed into, and then out of the car was Jason Statham, and the audience, including me, gasped. And I've never had a feeling that before. I was thinking, we've crossed now into, where anyone, it's like the franchise that encompasses all other franchises and all other, because characters stay in their own lane and their own franchise.
That's why it comes back to what I was saying is it takes itself seriously. So it tries to be dramatic all the time. But how can you care as an audience member about
We're not watching it for the drama. We don't care.
Exactly. I mean, I think Vin Diesel as a producer really wants us actually to care about the fate of his characters. But how can we care since none of them are in any situation at risk or in peril, in my opinion? Never.
I think these characters, when they come back, should say something like, well, James Gunn took the reins of DC and here I am again. So.
Ezra Miller is definitely going to be in the next one, depending on how they're trying to get Ben Affleck in and the rest of the Justice
everyone
League,
from every
Henry
other
Cavill definitely.
cancelled,
Henry Cavill is definitely teaming up with Jason Momoa. At some point.
That would be great. That would be. I mean, yeah, it's like that kind of like where we are past the era of star power and names, but we have a small minuscule where they're successful like in a row, and then franchises don't take off. Spoilers: Gal Gadot appears at the end.
Well, yeah, because she can't be one. Well, DC's such a mess. Her and Jason Momoa might even have the same agent, but they probably jumped ship. They were like, "Hey, this is the same franchise, but this is a franchise where people can kind of leave and come back." Or have lesser roles or something, so they can go film. That's what I think with Michelle Rodriguez. I think she was filming Dungeons and Dragons at the same time as this. Which it's a good. If say you're an actor doing this, you get paid $5 or $10 million. You film a couple scenes, and then you come back a few years later, do a main character. Then a few years later, you can do a couple scenes. That's a good deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to our post-credits cameo. Now, I know it was kind of hinted at before online, but it was this was one you thought would never happen because the off-screen drama, but that's obviously The Rock.
Money talks.
Coming
$10 million for a coworker you hate. Here you go.
It goes after Black Adam and I don't know which other movie which didn't do very well. I guess he was coming back.
That's true, actually. That's a good point.
Is the Fast and Furious the new DC Zack Snyder universe? Is this where we're going?
Louis Leterrier said that he actually showed the movie to The Rock and to convince him to appear in the post-credit scenes. The movie was finished and he was like, well, let me show you the movie to convince you that you should return. And if you like it, and he liked it.
It just makes sense. I mean, the thing is, they apparently didn't do really many scenes together in Fast 8 because they can do it through editing. And when you look at this cast, the cast is so big. I agree with Richard. There's just so many people in it. But in fact, I can't even find a poster with the cast on. And when I stayed for the sort of credit sequence that you get, which is very Marvel-esque now, you usually get those things where it says at the end maybe with so-and-so and with the upcoming Flash movie, everyone's going to see it for Michael Keaton really, but he's not billed top. At the end it's and Michael Keaton. On this it's and Helen Mirren and Brie Larson and this person with and you go, whoa, hang on, you can't have 7 people in that final thing. And The Rock isn't even credited actually, so when the list comes up he's not even in that cast list, so he's done that uncredited, which could indicate it was very late in the day.
Yeah.
But it's clearly, I think the thing is with this franchise and why so many people are attracted to it. Yeah, they're obviously not. Helen Mirren isn't coming in because it's finally going to make people see her as a good actress.
Actually, I
already claimed that
movies for Helen Mirren, but that no, I'm kidding.
But she's already claimed that. The reason people are coming in to this, and I think actually the sort of element of family in it is, although we're all very cynical about it, I think it is quite well done, really. But the thing is, the films are going to be a financial success. Mm-hmm. And, Robert Downey Jr., after Marvel went and did Dolittle, that didn't turn out very well. You've got a surefire hit here. So it's not going to be one that's going to get you an Oscar nod, but at least you're in another franchise that is, guaranteed to make money.
It might get an Oscar nod if Meryl Streep shows up, then she'll immediately get an Oscar unnecessarily.
Our theory as well. Our theory about the final part getting Oscars sometimes. So, Fast 13 is a done deal for Best Picture. Yeah.
Oh my
Like-
god!
Well, it's
like the Lord of the Rings.
Direct that
What
one.
people will watch, and it has actual diversity. They should actually do that.
It's so easy for these actresses to appear because most of them just have to film what a day shooting.
Yeah, exactly.
They appear there, say something about family. I am old and I know everything. Please don't risk your family. Go back to the values. Okay, I'm off.
Okay,
Bye bye. I hope my grandkids love this. Bye.
that kind of thing.
Actually, if I may add something here, because it made me think about something. Unfortunately, if I don't know if you noticed, but last night, Izzo said actually that he is already had ideas since 2017 for few spin-offs for this
Yes.
franchise after this franchise ends. Fast
Yes.
11, Fast 12, we don't know yet based on the numbers of Fast 10. But so the spin-offs, I was thinking, because I love theories, as Jason knows. So my theory is that, first of all, like everyone else in Hollywood, he was very proud, Vin Diesel, to say that one of the spin-offs will be a female-centric.
Yes.
So my guess is that these two spin-offs based on Fast 10, that one of them will be how did Gal Gadot survive? It will be a movie about Gal Gadot and Charlize Theron for the last 10 years. And the other one might actually be Hobbs and Shaw 2. It might actually be still in a possibility. Because when I saw Jason Statham appearing for no reason whatsoever in that movie, in Fast 10, for me, it was, I still don't understand why Jason Statham was in this movie. Because they can go to see him, they have some fights, then they find out, thanks to his IT equipment, that they are using their money to create an army, which they could have found out by themselves. And then Jason Statham discovers that his mother is in danger and he leaves. And that's it.
That whole storyline, that whole Ludacris, Tyrese, Natalie, and Jason storyline is completely superfluous and could be cut out of the movie.
Exactly. You can remove it and that doesn't change anything. So my guess is that if Jason Statham leaves at that point, I'm giving too much credit to Vin Diesel and Will Leterrier, maybe, but maybe the reason why we see him going somewhere to save his mother is because maybe that's the storyline for the next Hobbs and Shaw, saving Helen Mirren with The Rock. That's my theory.
It's very soapy as well, isn't it? Because you've kind of got all these sections where you're just following certain sets of characters. You know, like on a soap, certain characters never really interact with other ones. And that's because there's such a high turnover, and you'll have second unit or third unit even filming that stuff. And you can imagine on a film like this, that probably not that, the director's probably not that hands-on with it, that they're going to object to stuff being shot by second, third unit. And that means you can film it all at the same time because you've not got one star in every single scene. And it kind of means it's a quicker turnover as well. So although these films come out every 2 years, so it's not like they're knocking one out every year, but yeah, all the sort of, and I'm just thinking, when you watch a soap, you kind of end up zoning out of the characters you're not interested in. And it's a bit like this. You go, oh, right, we're with Roman again, and I'm not interested. Oh, Pete Davidson's turned up, but I'm still not interested. I forgot he was in it as well.
Well, they were clearly in London because their titles came up. Although I've never seen London so
and they were
sunny.
clearly in Rome because they'd never been there before. It's almost like at the start they needed to go, where haven't you been before? Rome. Yeah, you've got to go to Rome.
Yeah,
and actually, I tell you what, we're talking about it being just an action film now. I was thinking about the film Ronin at the start, because you've got these action scenes where they're driving these cars through the street, but you can tell that they're not driving them through the street. I'm not usually someone who goes, I think as I'm getting older, I'm one of these people who keeps banging on about not liking CGI. I always used to think people that did that weren't with the times, but you've got these scenes that are clearly CG, so you're not really they are action scenes, but you don't really feel like there's any danger to them, like in John Wick or Mission Impossible, where Tom Cruise is actually throwing himself off a cliff or whatever. But then you get the scene with Michelle Rodriguez on a motorbike, and that's clearly been done practically with a stunt woman, and it's really engaging. It's like a proper action scene.
Michelle Rodriguez talked about this. She said legally she's not allowed to because of the insurance costs. She said she actually rides bikes in real life, but they will not let her. But it looks fake, right?
It's not going to be her, but I mean, it's being practically done rather than on a computer. So you kind of believe in what you're seeing. I mean, to be honest, Tom Cruise is throwing himself off of like cliffs and buses for years, and I didn't even know until the internet come out that he was really doing that stuff. He could have got a stuntman and saved himself. It's clearly just he wants to do it, and fair play to him. But you know, there is a difference, I think, in watching it, in how you perceive the action. I mean, clearly the sort of action set piece at the end, they couldn't have done practically, where they're going down like a cannon and like things are blowing up behind them. So you accept that, but the street ones, it's like they could have actually done that, or even like Bond.
Everyone was safe. No one died.
Yeah, I mean that is the advantage of it, that it doesn't become like Twilight Zone the movie, which was, you know.
I think in some effects are better done than others, but like a lot must be CGI. A lot of it.
Just that the sheer cost, yes.
Well,
but I mean, from its initial roots, it was car racing, and it was, you know, it didn't, and that added the kind of like a thrill of, well, this is the subculture, and this is how dangerous, and it's about the cars and the fashion, but there's a sense of a reality, and hasn't become. That's before the era of, you know, of super spies and so forth. But it was a crime. It's a crime thriller. You know, you do stunts, you do stuntman. It's all practically set though. Slowly it evolves into this as it gets bigger and more ridiculous. But that means the tone changed and the genre switched. And
but all the sort of, although the second one's about street racing, because the second one is with Paul Walker, and it's the only one without any Vin Diesel. Yeah. But it feels very CG, that film, like early noughties, bad, straight to DVD CG. So it doesn't have that. The first one feels really gritty, I think, when you go back to it, comparatively to what happened afterwards, you know. And it is a low budget film, but it does feel genuinely sort of like it's got its fingers in the dirt a little bit. And I think actually with this film, we were talking about the representation's always been really good on these films, which I think is why it's played really well worldwide. But also I think, you know, the characters are from very humble beginnings, very sort of lower class backgrounds. But it's very aspirational because they're driving these wonderful cars. There is a bit when they're in Rome where I'm just thinking, where have they even got these cars? I know he does cars up, but where has he got?
I'm from California. They steal them because a lot of people in their area 10 minutes away have like 4 fancy cars. I'm not joking. I know police in California. They steal them. That's where they're getting them. Also,
why am I doing a Zoom chat when I could go and steal a car?
You won't go to jail for it. In California, unless you commit a person crime, you don't go to jail. So maybe you should go do that. You know?
Their idea of success is not finding a spiritual enlightenment, let's say.
Well, I think Van Diesel is. I think he's on that journey, if no one else is.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking how it does work, this whole franchise, and I was trying to like, well, what is it? Because you've got these emotional scenes and this whole family ethos and stakes. But then you've got such a ridiculous circus going around it, and
that's the biggest mystery of all.
Well, I think it works. This franchise works because you have this kind of a yin yang thing going on. You've got this very comedy caper going around. At the center of it, you've got Vin Diesel, who seems to be the only one taking it seriously for some reason. And so when he talks about family, he's actually selling it. It's honor, and when you're with family and you cross family, or when you took my car, you took my car, but you didn't cross. You know, you can't take my family. And, you know, it's all these kind of like very, very earnest deliveries, which you kind of like. Oh, okay, so there's some stakes there. Dom believes it. We'll just help Dom, and I think that's why it kind of works. Why you get these silly scenes, emotional scenes, but then you've got this, completely ridiculous thing going on. It is grounded for a second, then ungrounded. And I think this kind of balance, this is why it kind of works, and that's why I kind of think it somehow doesn't. That's why you need him in the middle of it, delivering these Shakespearean lines in his mind, and high drama and high what's going around. And I think that's how it does it. It's that's basically the chemistry of it. When I was trying to break it down and thinking, how, why does it work? And that's what I got the impression.
I guess it's true, because the stakes come from Jason Momoa trying to break that kind of family, and he does it in a not very structured way. Like, he goes from here to there, and first is one thing in Rome, and then there's one thing in race in Brazil, and then there's the kid. I don't know. But it always works, because he is always attacking Dom and his ideals and his seriousness with all this funniness that he has, and all this, like, nothing care. I don't care about anything, just hurting you. And it kind of works. And the action.
I give Jason Momoa a pass here, because what you said, Alfonso, is actually Jason Momoa is doing a good job, but his plan makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Because when you think about it,
he has a plan. If he has a plan.
Yeah, because he said at the end, it made me laugh, because at the end, when you have Dom and his kids in between the two trucks, he says something like, "You are exactly like where I want you."
What I want.
And I'm thinking, how did you plan this? How did you plan it?
The other thing that doesn't make sense. The other thing that doesn't make sense with this new ending that they've tacked on is, like, now I'm coming for, you stole the big metal box, but you pulled the trigger, so I'm coming for you next. It's like, someone shot my dad. I'd go and find the person who shot my dad first, not the person who stole a metal box. Like, why hasn't he gone for the Rock? The Rock should have been the first person he went for, not.
Yeah, I think priority was a bit odd there.
And also, I don't care how cool smashing your phone looks on camera. It's dumb. If someone phoned me up and said, I'm coming to beat you up, I wouldn't then crush my phone, because now I've got to go and get a new phone out. What an idiot. Are you listening to this, The Rock? I called you an idiot. There you go.
Where's your address, James?
Yeah, I take that all back. Dwayne Johnson is very charismatic.
Yes.
I will say, Noel, you're right. Like Vin Diesel, there was a point where I was thinking he's got such a really relaxing, soothing voice. I think he needs to do more audiobooks. Like, they shouldn't have had Stephen Fry reading the Harry Potter series. They should have had Vin Diesel. He should be reading
a lot of sleepy children, though. I think it was.
This is the thing. I think
very soothing.
The ideal matchup would be for him to do the voice of Sat-Navs, but I think you just fall asleep.
No, you would fall asleep.
It's
too dangerous.
Voice.
But also, when they are racing in Brazil, and Jason Momoa is like, you have to save one of them. I am the Joker now. You have to. Who would you save? And you cannot. And I cannot tell how Vin Diesel can see even that kind of bomb
that is a bomb
below the car.
It's
like, you didn't give him any kind of explanation. How can he even see what you're doing, Jason Momoa, with these two cars? And suddenly, when he activates the bomb below the car, suddenly Vin Diesel is like, I know what is happening. How can you?
Yeah, and then he goes and stands, like, when he saves he gets the woman out, he stands right next to the last unexploded car. It's like, move away from that car, you moron.
Yeah, I know, it's gonna explode at any moment. Oh, by the way, guess who is gonna have what's his name's role? Oh my god, the Jack Reacher. Guess who is originally gonna have that role?
Oh,
you know who I'm talking about?
I don't know.
I know.
Guess,
anyone want to guess?
Anyone else know?
Well, it was a perfect actor for the Jack Reacher.
Who was supposed to be Ames?
Jack Reacher.
Ames, thank you. Yes. Guess who is the original actor for that?
I don't know.
Someone with a bigger paycheck.
Keanu Reeves.
Who?
Keanu Reeves was originally going to be that role, but Jack Reacher took it, and yeah, now he's Ames. And I saw that plot twist coming a mile away because I've seen all these movies multiple times.
Why didn't happen? Because Keanu Reeves realized that
No, he
it
just
would be
didn't want to do the movie.
his career will be over. Okay, good
Well-
call, Keanu. Good call.
I mean, she's mentioning Jack Reacher because of the actor who played the CIA
Yeah,
agent.
I don't know his name. Sorry.
He's in the Jack Reacher in the TV series, which is brilliant, and actually he's well cast in it. But originally, before that, of course, it was Tom Cruise in the movie version. But then
Talk about Reach when
yeah, but I guess
that's sorry, but every time we talk about a character or something, it makes me think about something dumb in that movie. But for example, Ames.
yeah.
Yeah.
At the end, there's apparently a huge twist, but actually he was working for Jason Momoa all along.
Yeah, that's just like the
And I was
Toronto
thinking,
twist in Fast Six.
Who cares? Ames in that movie he wasn't like the best friend of Dom or his brother, whatever. He was just a random guy. So who cares? That he was working for Jason Momoa. I was thinking back and say, okay, that's the big twist at the end of the movie.
They really had a history. He could have hired him like a week ago, but okay.
Actually, I will say when we some of the humor you were sort of saying like doesn't work and it's quite sort of on the nose, isn't it? I do think there is a moment with Ames early on. So when we just think that he's Brie Larson's boss, where they've got this little speech where they're breaking them down, going, "Oh, everybody who gets involved becomes family." They do these stupid, ridiculous anti-gravity stunts, and it's a really weird speech because it's very much winking to the camera and going, "We know this is ridiculous," and it kind of works, and it shouldn't. But it does kind of make me go, the sort of cynical part of me going, this is ridiculous, is like, okay, you've acknowledged it's ridiculous, so I'll give you a free pass. So that does kind of work, I think, that humor in it. But I think the family aspect, like there's no getting away from the fact that, the first one that I watched was Furious 7 because, it was obviously in the news that Paul Walker had tragically died, and they'd filmed about 80% of the film without him in, with him in, and then they had to finish it off. But I sort of went back and was like, how has this gone for 6 series? I don't think I'd even seen one of them, or maybe I'd seen like Tokyo Drift or not one that wasn't that great. But I think knowing that's happened in real life, it does affect it, like watching Wakanda Forever, that what's really happened. And I think that See You Again song, I still find that really hard to listen to. There's something about the keys when it starts that it does make the hairs stand up on the back of your neck. And the bit when he's in the garage at the start looking, because it's not really Brian that they're looking at, it is Paul Walker, and the strings start in, and I was like, have they not even paid for the rights to See You Again? And then they subtly put those keys in again. It's a really nice moment, and it just, I don't know, it just does something. But I think in terms of the family theme, that's always in the back of your mind watching these films now, that particularly with, like I said earlier, with Jordana Brewster is back, and they don't even really have to explain, oh, Brian's not here because it's like, we know, and we kind of just are all there that it's rubbish that it happened, and we've just got to get on with the film,
It's nice for her to come back, like with all these movies, Jordana Brewster, even though they never give her anything to do. But she gives a lot of money to charity, so I like her, despite she's like getting paid probably a lot of money to just be there for 5 minutes. And then I like how this skinny middle-aged woman, is just as strong as John Cena. Very funny to me. Oh my god, I'm like, sure, okay.
or Brie Larson, and I think Brie Larson was pretty intelligent to be in this film, given that she wanted to amplify her demo or something, or I mean, she's
a big fan of the fast chies. That's why she did it. Which, I mean, I get that. It's like if someone paid me $10 million to be in a Star Wars movie, I'd be like, sure. Oh no, how could I
But she all these actresses just, I mean, I think Charlize Theron has in these films at least much bigger charisma than, for example, Brie Larson.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
Charlize Theron's the best. Yeah.
But
I
she's
wanna-
she's a better actress, period. Anyway, so
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think earlier on in her career, she actually took on the reins of being producing because she was just finding really not great roles. So she kind of just took control of her career quite early on and producing a lot of the stuff that she is involved in. And here she's kind of like a part of an ensemble cast, but she's the only the actual ongoing, villain who's, well, okay, I was going to say who doesn't turn out to be friends in the end, but I know it starts off like that. I have suspect that, Dom, me and Dante were working all along, which I'm sure will have spoilers in the second or in the 11 or 12, but she's the only kind of like villain left who's this through line between her and Dom. But I don't know. I mean, I think she's given, for me, I think she's got a bit more screen time and a bit more development time because she kind of teams up with Michelle Rodriguez, and there's kind of like a character development.
Yeah.
I guess
She's
I
got
guess,
good fight
yeah,
scene early on
it's
as well.
another of
I meant
those
dialogue.
like tangents that it doesn't lead you anywhere. But you kind of go with Charlize anywhere she goes. Basically, she can take you anywhere, even to a storyline that doesn't lead you anywhere. It's okay.
She is very charismatic. She's actually kind of like in control and like a serpent kind of just going around. So they picked her. I mean, she suits that role for, even though it's not huge dialogue, but it is. She's considerable weight to her. So
Well, she's more entertaining than I think most of the other characters.
for sure, for sure, yeah.
And
She's got a great fight scene really early on, isn't she?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That is a good scene. And it will turn out as well that she didn't really kill the mother of Dom's child.
No.
Even though
he made me all along. He was there.
That's what they wish.
You'll get
Part of
a
a CIA
cutaway where she ate the bullet. She ate the bullet and then she spat it out.
I joked about this, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that Elsa Pataki will show up at some point. We don't know how, but they are finding a way.
I'm sure, because that would be that would help Charlize to be even longer in the franchise, and that's what they want.
You're
we
right.
We don't care that you kill anyone.
Yeah.
We don't care really. Just stay.
The only problem with the franchise spin-offs, I'm thinking though, because there's sort of rumors about Brie Larson leading like a female one, is so much of this seemed to be like, I know it's the start of the end, but like you say, there's no reason for Jason Statham to be there other than to have Jason Statham in it. And maybe one of the problems when you do the spin-offs is it's like, it's a Fast and Furious movie, but only a third of the characters are there. I think they might paint, and there's the risk of painting themselves into a corner here that everyone wants to see just every character. But I mean, I don't think some of the lesser characters you'd miss too much if they weren't there. So they just need to concentrate on the most popular ones, I suppose.
It's all right. It's all right, because if they do a movie with only a third of the character, it's like still 30 characters, so it's fine.
Yeah. Like that's the thing, is there's less. If there's less characters, like say there's like 10 characters, I think that's going to be good. But then also, like if I was in charge of this franchise, I would put out that all-female movie like now or something, or like after this one, between the first of the two trilogies. That way you can get to know the characters and you can take a breather and have it, something else. But I think less characters is a good thing. They shouldn't do it too late. Like Black Widow, that came out way too late, and not even just because of COVID. That should have been like a 2017, but it was a 2021 movie. I don't want them to do that, because then it'll just like ruin everything. But I mean, all the female actors are good, or actresses, they're all really good in it. So at least that helps, right? We don't have.
I think the problem is you can't really have like that. I think you're right. That would have been the way to do it, but because of the cliffhanger that they've got in this one, and presumably the cliffhanger they're going to have in the next one, they've kind of conceived them like this, and I don't think there's really a prequel
or something like
you could do it that way. I don't know, but the only other thing is maybe this is the right thing to do though, because I'm sure there's an exec somewhere saying, we could get 2 or 3, 1 out a year or 2 out a year, but that I think the consensus is with Marvel, they sort of over-egg things with too much content. And even with Star Wars, I think there was a point when it was working really well with having a movie in December, and then they got to the point where they were like, let's try and put one out in the middle of the year as well, and it just
it didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work at all. Yeah.
and I assume Jason Momoa is going to be the villain in all of these. I think he is. There's the scene on the bridge. I did actually think, I think maybe they've got this a bit wrong, because it's that kind of I don't know if Joker syndrome is a term, but you know, the fact that the Joker sort of upstages Batman. I'm kind of almost egging Jason Momoa on more, even though he's a horrible vacuous guy in this. He's kind of more entertaining because he's like being a really like over the top villain. He's more entertaining than Vin Diesel.
I think he had to be, I think, and it's basically him against, 12, 15 other cast members against him. His personality is that great. I'm not sure if it's purposeful or not, but it is his energy that is coming from, despite being just, hugely a man mountain. He's very much just drawing upon this kind of like very feminized energy. And it's just such a counterweight to the whole testosterone flood that's coming from the other end, who's against him. So it kind of diffuses it so greatly that he does come stand out, and they don't know what to do, because they kind of like, where do they go with their intimidation and all that? It doesn't go anywhere because he's just the energy. He just shifts it on a pivot. Yeah, he's got to be that.
He stands out, but I think like in terms of really, you want to hate the villain a little bit, and I think particularly in this, and maybe he's too cool. But this is the problem, actually. The ongoing problem with their villains is, like with someone like Statham, they get him in because he kind of fits, and then they go, we quite like him, we want to keep him on board, so we have to turn him into a good guy. And actually, that could be what this is. This was meant to be the last film, and now it's going to be Fast 12.
Too good.
So actually, in Fast 12, Jason Momoa will apparently be killed, but then he will be back as a member of the family in Fast 13, and they will forgive him and for everything that he's done, and he will be part of the gang now going forward.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean,
even though he did kill Ludacris,
I think that's interesting.
And his brother.
And his brother. Yeah.
But no, I actually do hope they do. I think Van Diesel wants to get out of his franchise as well. I think, as you mentioned before, he doesn't want to be part of. He wants to, as much as successful as it is, I think he really probably did want to do other things. Unfortunately, this is the only thing that kind of like really just ballooned beyond his control, and so he could stay on as a producer. You can't really predict these things. You can't like lightning in a bottle here, where you've got a huge cast, which they kind of make it work because it is a soap opera here, and what other cast members or big en masse cast in a film works where it's enjoyable. You don't get too lost. It's quite a marvel that, no pun intended, that this actually works as a movie when you're jumping from 10, 12, 15 other characters. It's quite incredible, honestly.
It is difficult. I think this kind of movie could be much worse, and the action is very good. There are very good setups, like action scenes, like the ball through Rome, and they are well choreographed. In general, it is an action that is very well choreographed, and I think kids must love these films.
I think so.
And the box office numbers speak for themselves, don't they? So I've got to say, whilst you mentioned the ball, right, that was the only moment. I usually hate people who say stuff like this, but there's a chase where Michelle Rodriguez is on a bike trying to outrun the ball, going down these steps, and it sort of makes you think of bullet. And then suddenly you go, if you stopped, the ball would just roll on, and then you could just carry on. Why would, she's not going to outrun it. Stop, and the ball will carry on. Nobody's driving that ball bomb. You would just, then you're miles away from the ball, aren't you? And it would blow up over there instead of.
I think she needed to be close. Michelle needed to be close to be able to
jam the signal.
Jam the signal. See, I wasn't listening.
You weren't paying attention, James.
James. Come on.
That's the thing. I turned my brain off.
You'll have to watch it again. You'll have to watch it again. Obviously.
Yeah, the subtleties of it all.
That's exactly of the plot. Yeah.
Well,
I'm going to rewatch it and have a completely different experience.
Well, I mean, I've got to ask this, and obviously as we can tie things up, is are you going to be watching 11 and 12 then? I mean, just on the back of this.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I just want them to be like shorter, maybe just like the good stuff, and not that.
I think it's all going to get longer.
I don't think it
longer.
felt. I don't think it felt. It probably should have been short, but I don't think it felt that long. Although I did go see Bo is Afraid the night before, which is 3 hours, so maybe that's why it felt.
Credit to how the editing is done on it. I mean, credit to Louis. It's cohesive. I was expecting a mess when Justin left. I think, and it's always kind of very much kind of like wary about these films when they get kind of reshot and or whatever. But it's very cohesive, very put together. You can follow everything. It's enjoyable, I think, and it's very rare.
Why did he leave? Do we know why he left? Or was it just scheduling?
Justin Lin.
Creative differences. He started shooting it.
Because Vin Diesel is hard to work with. He shows up late. He wants reshoots. He wants to change his clothes, even though we've already seen him in those clothes. He wants a different prop. And because he was in power when Universal was at its weakest, they do what he says. And these demands of his are too unrealistic. Like, just like him on The Rock, they have to have the same number of punches. I don't want to work with someone like that. Yeah. So that's why he didn't. That's just... Is
that the first time, by the way? Mathieu Kassovitz, who is a very famous French director and actor, directed Vin Diesel back in the 2000s in a sci-fi movie called Babylon AD.
Oh, yes.
And it kind of destroyed Mathieu Kassovitz's career in Hollywood because he was coming from a movie called Gothica with Ali Berry, which was decent and did decent box office numbers. And Mathieu Kassovitz literally tried to do a blockbuster with Vin Diesel. And you can see the result was terrible as well. So.
And there is a documentary, actually, right? On the whole experience.
About Babylon AD?
Yeah. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's kind of like I would say across the board, it's almost like like I said, a unspoken contract where it's audience participation is what's the kind of contract between audience and this franchise is. So as ridiculous as it gets, as kind of comical, and it's somehow you're guaranteed a great time, but it's part of you has to almost engage in it and meet it about halfway or maybe 80% of the way.
It isn't dissimilar from Bond, is it now? That it's sort of almost like a lifestyle thing. I think you watch it and go, I wish I was part of that gang. You do. I do.
But they seem to be having fun.
I wish I was part of that gang.
Yeah. If everybody sees what he wants to see in these movies, but for example, myself, who maybe I was very critical at first, I have to say, because it's ridiculous, it makes me laugh. So in the end, I don't have a bad moment watching these movies, to be honest. It is funny. Sometimes I believe that there are things that should be taken out completely of the movie, should be removed from these movies, in my opinion, especially this one and the previous one. Again, I was literally happy when this comic relief duo died. But if you remove a few scenes of that movie, it's decent. The first one also was decent. There are some terrible Fast and Furious movies, and it's not one of them, to be honest.
No.
Yeah, more Jason Momoa's giving their counterpoints.
Well, I think.
By the way, what I just said makes me think. The first thing that a colleague of mine asked me Monday when I talked about Fast and Furious, he said, "Is Lucas Black in this movie?" And I said, "No, he is not. Lucas Black, I believe, is the name of the actor who plays the main character in Fast and Furious 3.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Tokyo Drift.
Yes. Unfortunately, he's not in this movie because talking about worst Fast and Furious movies, Fast and Furious 3 is one of them, obviously, because I don't understand why they casted that actor who definitely doesn't look like an ice cooler. So, yeah. So, no, yeah, unfortunately...
I would say... Oh, sorry, Richard.
Lucas Black, isn't it? I thought he's one of the rocket engineers, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the rocket. Yeah, he's the one who sent them to space in the previous movie. So that's why.
Oh, 9. Yes, sorry, because I watched 9 just before. I got confused. But yeah, he's in 9.
He's the one who apparently. So he was 45 years old and he was in high school in Japan, and apparently that actually proves that he must be it's very smart because he can create a car that goes to space, and he can also pilot an airplane. and he was in high
Yeah.
school at 45 years old. So yeah.
If
So
you
he's in
cannot pilot an
He's in
airplane
Furious
in this
7 and
ones.
F9.
But
I
yeah,
think
sorry,
the
yeah, that
spin-off-
was the sorry.
I think the spin-off is gonna be about his Dom's son when he's a teenager and has friends.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah, they'll just jump ahead a few years and it'll be like a new,
Or
the
young
next
Dom,
generation.
young
Fast and
Dom.
Furious, the next generation. Yes, I can see that. Well, thing is, what we have here is a very much, like I said, I always think lightning in a bottle. That is, take away a few elements, do female version only. It might work, might not work. Even Hobbs and Shaw works quite well but I think maybe enjoying the kind of success that you have with this is a very rare thing.
Well,
And
a male character too. Maybe not one of the main ones, but maybe one of the more tolerable ones.
I think it's so difficult to predict. I mean, you could have predicted you'd have a racer movie going on for 10, 12
years. Yeah.
and so many years, decades.
As long as they have a
incredible.
good script, you can do it about anyone. But I don't know if the female-led spin-off would have a lot of market, like female-led to spend a big budget on a female-led spin-off.
Although
you
they
would need
like $100 million, but I don't think they would do the 350. But I'll give an example. All the women I know love Rey. They love Captain Marvel. They love there's a market for it, but again, it's just not the vocal people because a lot of these girls don't have YouTube channels. They have regular lives and they just like these movies. So I think
It's true.
Make money off of it. So
Well, this franchise it's not, like I said, it's a very multi-genre, but also it's not about just car race. Well, you don't go to see it. It's about heist. It's about super spies because obviously they're hired by the government as basically they're full-time, part-time super agents. So this is not even about the cars or the stunts, as in it's part of it, but it's all part of this, hokey mix of what's going on, from location traveling. It is like a James Bond movie spread against numerous characters where we don't have a James Bond. So
it's actually more female-led than the James Bond movies.
Yes, it is.
And to be fair to these movies, they are not objectified.
No,
actually, they are. I have to say, there are actually strong female characters in these movies, to be honest.
No, the only objectified are all the people in Brazil. But
well, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's that Bond thing, isn't it? That ugly people don't get into these movies. Yeah. So across the board, everyone is really good looking. So,
Wow.
Yeah, they have time to hit the gym and hit each other.
Can we before we end, can we just ask one last question, Jason?
Go ahead, Richard.
Because we just mentioned actually the money actually that was spent in this movie. When I heard months ago that they spent 360 million, I really believe that it was for the two movies that they were shot back to back.
I think so.
No. It is confirmed actually that 360 million was spent only on this one, on Fast.
I wish I had that kind of money.
So I don't get it, to be honest. I don't know where. Again, I think COVID is one of the reasons, because I'm guessing a lot of reshoots and there was so many obstacles to make a movie during COVID, but still. So I was being optimistic maybe earlier, saying that it will probably, like the other Fast and Furious recent movies, reach the billion mark. But I'm not so sure about this. Because when you look at this crazy schedule of releases in the next few weeks, that you have the Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse 2 coming quickly, then you have Transformers thing coming as well in the next couple of weeks.
There's the darkness coming, Richard. There's the darkness coming.
Because the darkness
coming on the box office, exactly. So I wonder if that movie will have the legs, let's say, to break even. And that could be actually the decisive factor, and deciding if, first of all, it's going to be a Fast 12 or whatever, or spin-offs, etc. So.
I think they'll do this because we're gearing up towards a cliffhanger in each one, and I think because it is, I gotta say, it's pop culture now. I mean, the Fast and Furious, you just even mentioned it, we haven't seen it, said, oh, those movies. Yeah, I never seen them, but I kind of know them. You have a big box office for that final movie, just as a big farewell, even though, despite the quality, who knows, it might be a good thing. Maybe if they pull back on the budget a bit, it might be a grounded racer going on by 11 and 12, but who knows?
Do you know what? Maybe that's a factor with the sort of cliffhanger, particularly the guys in the aeroplane. Is I think the intention is 100% to bring them back. But if there was a problem with the box office, which I don't think is, I think you're right. It would be a scheduling thing to do with other things taking its box office, that they could then actually retroactively say no, they were killed, and not pay them money to come back. You're definitely gonna have to have Vin Diesel, you're definitely gonna have to have Jason Momoa, but you could maybe get rid of some of those characters. I think the action of John Cena.
No, nobody has been killed. Nobody.
I will have to say,
but in terms of budget, I'm sure that's where most of the money for this film goes.
No, I don't think so. I think it's CGI and cars and Vin Diesel's change of clothes, maybe. But no.
No, I think it's cast, because it's such a massive cast and they're really big. I mean, not all of them, but most of them are very big stars in their own right.
If you could spread it over the two movies, you can budget it carefully, and I think you'll get some good numbers. Then fine.
The cast. Yeah, but how much? For example, Jason Statham is in this movie for 5 minutes. How much money does he make? I don't know.
And is it the movie good for Jason or Jason for the movie? Like, you have to ask. Who is winning here more? Jason or the movie?
You think that, and the answer to that question will explain how much money he made. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if I was asked to be in this movie is a big publicity for me. Also.
Yeah.
I'm not integral to the movie.
And the promise of other movies in the future, and so I can see it seeding in these little, future back end stuff. So. It is a big franchise. You're gonna have a big box office. You're gonna have an audience looking at it and seeing your face on screen, and maybe even it's like your little trailer for your own franchise. So there's a lot. It's a lot of. It's a good opportunity to be in.
Fast 9 was 200 million, and this is 340 million. That's crazy.
I think it was because of this interruption in filming.
I think it's COVID. I think it's COVID. Yeah, I think it's COVID.
And COVID, yeah. I think they would have kept it. They know their maths. They know, how much to expect on average, and they know how to budget. I think it got out of hand just unfortunately because of what happened and a bit of change of direction. And it's like 2 films. Probably it's the budget of almost 2 films. It's almost 400 million. So.
Of course,
but I think they can take it.
Salaries have to be accounted for and salaries bump when you're in many of these films, but I don't think it does that much in the end.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of goodwill. I think, credit where credit due. I think Diesel does generate or inspire a lot of loyalty from his crew because they've been together a long time. How difficult or not he is, there's a lot of friendship between some of the leads and those family members, and they're loyal to him, and they work well, and they're obviously it does work on some level. That's why you can bring these people back, or people, they're rich enough in their own right, they don't have to be there if they don't want to, really hate it. But
what they say online is that Vin Diesel was expected to earn 20 million and Jason Momoa 10 million. So that's 30 million for the 2 biggest paid, maybe, cast members.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you probably got a cast of about like a quarter of the budget, But that's always been the case with certain. But like back in the day, it would be Arnie or Sly, and they would be the really high paid one. Everybody else would be not on a lot. But the thing with these ensemble things is it gets a bit more complicated. But then the Marvel thing is quite complicated, isn't it? Because you get less for your earlier films, but more that you stay on. And then there's people like Gwyneth Paltrow didn't even realize she was in Spider-Man because she just turned up and filmed a load of stuff and assumed it was for an Iron Man film.
Mm-hmm.
So how Marvel works is usually you get paid like a $20 million contract for like 5 movies, And usually that'll include like 1 or 2 main movies, or maybe even 3, but a couple main movies, a couple where you're the side character, and a cameo or 2, or sometimes whenever they ask, depending on how famous you are. I don't know if it's like that for these movies, but that's how Marvel generally works, and Star Wars too.
So it makes it a bit complicated in terms of looking at what is the definitive budget for this as a movie on its own, because it doesn't exist on its own. But it does seem that it's just ballooned through COVID. And Noel has actually confirmed in the comments where a lot of the money went, but obviously we can't say that out loud for legal reasons.
No.
I
think also, there's a bit of a difference. I think also because it is heavily producer led with Diesel, because with Marvel and all the Disney, you got corporate led, where it's kind of like a mandate that comes down, and the decisions can be quite, faceless, quite honestly. At least I think there's slightly a bit more bringing a cast together, being on good terms, and it just centered around, I don't think these are just driving it and keeping it together. So it's not as, I think Universal just let him, look, this is, you let him run with it, you know how to manage it, and he does have to control it, but at least you've got someone you can negotiate with and get on with, and everyone has ups and downs, but for the most part, it kind of keeps it on track for those in his circle, which it's not.
He's the Kevin Feige of the Fast franchise, isn't he? He's the Robert Downey Jr. and the Kevin Feige of
both. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, you could say it's like family, which is probably at the core of this whole franchise, and maybe that's why a bit of a secret recipe behind the scenes and on the screen. But I think I for one will be looking forward to 11 and 12. I came into this quite late, and I kind of still I think it's a pop culture touchstone where, and you're having fun. You don't take it too seriously, but it kind of entertains you as as it goes on. But anyway,
I think you could go into this and watch it without seeing any of the, because I thought, maybe there's a lot of backstory, but I think basically if you come at this and wasn't sure what was going on, someone go, was it fast? Yes. Was it furious? Yes. So what are you whinging about? That's what, it's done what it literally does what it says on the tin.
To be honest, the plot, it gets out the way and what you need to know within 5 minutes in the flashback, and I think it does it in every movie. So you can just come in, sit down, and what's happening.
You don't need the
so efficient. And because I haven't watched these in order. I did watch maybe 5 and 6, then I went back to 1, and then recently saw 9 and 7. But it all makes perfect sense, and you see it on TV all the time. You don't have to watch the whole movie, but you have an idea of what's happening. I think the story's the same. It's about revenge. It's about family. It's about getting your family split and then back together again, and a foe who has a grudge, and that's all you need really. That and some petrol and some stunts. And somehow it works, and so credit to it. Right. Well, I think we've all run out of gas at this point, but thank you for our own film and TV review family. This is what it's all about. and
I think we should all have a barbecue in the backyard.
Well, let's do that. It's this summer. We're going to do a barbecue, and as long as we say grace beforehand, I'm all good for it. Until next time, see you soon.
We hope you enjoyed this film and TV review.com episode. Catch the latest film and TV reviews, together with regular episode content from the world of film and TV every week. See you soon. Would you like to reach our film and TV review podcast audience? Do you have a product or service of interest to film and TV home consumers or followers of the entertainment industry? Have a film or show production to publicize? For affordable price plans for all budgets, get in touch and find out about our introductory advertising options. Reach our audience of film and TV viewers and visit our site contact page at filmandtvreview.com, or you can email us at business@filmandtvreview.com. Reach out today.